We're all a little depraved and debaucherous. Here is the King of Podcasts.
And welcome to the program. This is King of Podcasts here with you through the King of Podcasts podcasting radio network. And I appreciate all of you checking out the website, kingofpodcasts.com, or you also, if you haven't done so, or you're doing it right now, you're listening to the show via YouTube at King of Podcasts. So however you find this program, thank you for listening. Thank you for finding the show. And if you want to continue to listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Music, all have this podcast. If you want to go look for it, please feel free to do that. Also, iHeartRadio. It's all there. Now, so a few weeks ago, I did talk about how single women have been struggling when it comes to finances. So I brought that up a few weeks ago. And I brought up some statistics and brought up some facts about how, it's been a struggle for women to go and continue to be sufficient and how they are struggling in debt and some issues. And that's not good from dealing with that, but it's something that I noticed that we got to keep an eye on this. And for women, I feel bad for them that one of the things I thought about actually before I even put on this program tonight was the fact that how many women are really willing to go ahead and just give up just deciding to go ahead and just stay alone and make it on their own with their career, with everything they're doing, to be empowered, what they've been told to do. Don't worry about children. Don't worry about families. Don't worry about husbands. Don't worry about partners for that matter. And that's the part that I really worry about the most because, when I look at one thing there was a story I just saw and I didn't bring it up yet, but I thought about this. The fact that when women deal with security, and what was one of the things that your conventional woman, a single woman, one of the things that would be very important to have a man in their life is someone that is going to be strong, confident, and give you feel comfort and security and feel safe. That used to be something that was really important. So when did money become the new security, a new security blanket? And when did women start being told that, well, at all times, they are not going to be worried about, any kind of possibilities of, being attacked or being hurt or something happening to them? The vulnerabilities that escalate as a result. Now, of course, more women are learning self-defense and they're definitely understanding things, but it still comes down to the fact. So it was back in December, I put this episode up and I mentioned how single women are struggling to keep lifestyle while spiraling into debt, and that there was a quest for materialism and allure of status and attention intertwined with financial behaviors. And that for single women, especially those influenced by the glamorized lifestyles of Instagram influencers, the pursuit can lead to significant financial pitfalls. We talked about chasing the Instagram dream, right? All for the gram. Materialism, consumption patterns, appetite for clout and attention, status symbols and social comparison, and the illusion of instant gratification. And we looked at that area specifically. So let's go ahead and fast forward now 7 months later. And there are new stories that are coming out. So one of the stories that came out from New York Post is being single is too expensive and stressful, but women would still rather be alone. So Zillow, very popular for real estate and helping people find a home. They talk about the singles tax, that women would rather accept the singles tax, which is now up to $7,000, the higher cost that singles pay financially supporting themselves, that women would still rather be on their own and pay that tax. The study is from a study from Qualtrics on behalf of Credit Karma, that many single women admitted that the financial burden of being financially independent is a major cause of stress in their lives, but yet they still prefer to be single. So now there's a stubbornness where women will say, okay, I'm struggling with all this. You have women that will still say, well, I'll have a man or someone in my life that will alleviate my financial issue, but I still want my independence. I still want my financial independence. So help me, but you don't get to hold on to me. You don't get to be with me. That's what they're trying to say. Courtney Alev, consumer financial advocate at Intuit Credit Karma, said that, quote, the makeup of financial lives for women has shifted due to a shift in economic factors, housing affordability, and the rising cost of higher education. Well, here's the other part that comes into effect. A couple of things. First of all, there are women that have gone into the career field of whatever career field they have, not making enough money and not being able to pay off the debt that they have been accrued from college. So the financial debt they had. There's that issue that's come in. As a result, women are no longer solely focused on getting married and starting families, but instead focusing on building their careers and prioritizing debt repayment. Nearly half of single women, 47%, say that living on their single income is a major source of stress, especially as everything costs continue to rise. Because inflation, not having, going paycheck to paycheck, and, the ultra expenses that women might put on themselves, say for beauty, say for maintenance, say for, for their upkeep, for their lifestyle, whatever there might be. I mean, how many women do you know feasibly that really are, penny pinchers, coupon cutters, not even coupon cutters anymore, but rewards points, all this kind of stuff. Frugal. How many women are honestly frugal that are single and would be, that guys would want to approach? Because that's what we're looking at as well. More than a quarter of single women, 26% specifically, admit it's too expensive to be single, and 16% say they're with their partner because they financially support them. Right. How many guys are together with their significant other because of a financial reason? We know that there are some people that stay together and separate, but not divorce because of the financial factors. So there's a part that comes into this. Okay. So the financial burden, because, you don't want to get married. Okay. Which has been fine for guys to, accept the fact that, okay, we're not getting married. We're single. I've been chronically single, as you know. I mean, I don't necessarily see what the singles tax comes into for me. But remember, if you do have a spouse, you do have children, taxes come into play where you do get a benefit from it. You get, a couple of benefits of it, a couple of credits, right? Deductions. Pretty nice to have that. But of course, that goes towards children, it goes toward other things when it comes to the state of the marriage, right? The status of the marriage and putting things together. 35% of female singletons have a harder time affording basic necessities, rent, groceries, other bills. Mind you, as you know on this program, I have talked many times about women that have resorted to sugar daddy sites in order to find ways to supplement the income to take care of these very things right here. Rent, groceries, bills. As I said myself, when I've been on those sites, there were quite a few times that women asked for that. I'm going to give you another fact. Again, I've sworn myself off those sites. I'm done. I've been on there. I was on there. Not anymore. I can tell you now that I've actually starting to go back into actually physically, interacting with women and maybe possibly dating coming up. Because I'm going to go into that route because I'm really tired of just the interactive, the interactive stuff, just the online stuff. I'm giving it a shot. I'm not necessarily pursuing, but let's just say I've had conversations that have, I've gotten the eye of interest from a couple of different women that said, okay, well, we'll talk. Fine. That gives me something to do. Okay. We'll see what happens. But I'm not necessarily looking to see if something's going to happen as a result. But now, the financial burden has also pushed about 20% of single women to live at home with their parents or other relatives, compared to 7% of partnered women. Single ladies are struggling to afford certain activities, including vacations, 50%, dining out, 34%, and entertainment, 27%. Well, we remember that was a thing where women would go and look for, if they wanted to date somebody, and that would know, well, that person's going to take me out to dinner, take me out to movies, take me out to entertainment, maybe take me on vacation, take me dining out, which is also what some of these sugar daddy sites do for as well. Here's my point. I'm going to get back to that one thing that I should tell you right now. About a good 40% of the women on those sugar daddy sites try it. And let me show you that I'm right. Guess how much money per month would be enough for them to satisfy supplement of their income to where they would warrant and they would be interested in you as a sugar daddy. Guess how much money it is per month. Put a number. Take a second and think about that number. How much do you think they would be asking for? Now, this is not the higher end where they're just expecting you to be an open. Here's a blank credit. Here's a empty credit card, a blank check. Here's a bank account. Here's just a wad of cash. No. I'm talking about your gifts. No. I'm talking about a good 40% of the women who are on these sugar daddy sites. Let's say seeking sugar babies, sugar daddy meat. I'm just telling you, and I'm being very clear about this. Guys, if you didn't know this, I'm going to tell you this. $500 a month. That's the average. If a woman was able to go ahead and earn $500 a month on average, of course, it could be a little bit more, a little bit less. Obviously more on the higher end. But 40% of the women you could find on these sugar daddy sites, if you supplemented their income by $500 a month, so say you took care of a couple of their bills, right? I'll take care of your cell phone bill. I'll take care of your electric bill, your water, your sewage, right? Say all that's being taken care of in one shot. All those bills off her hands. You're doing it. $500 a month. There are a lot of women who are going to be amenable to that. They'll say, well, that's good to them. And honestly, I know they could obviously want more, but they would actually find that acceptable. I kid you not. Totally serious about that. More into the story, some girls just want to have fun. Nearly 1 in 10 single women have gone into debt, or 9%. 17% of single Generation Z women trying to keep up with their friends are in debt. But many women today aren't seriously considering a monetary match. 13% say they want a partner for their money. 65% of single women they still believe they can achieve major financial milestones on their own. Coupling up doesn't seem to be the answer. 49% of partner women say being in a relationship enables them to save more money than if they were single. 37% say being coupled up causes them to spend more money than if they were single. Well, we know that for guys, if they're with a woman, they are spending more money. Datingadvice.com also put out a survey, which was called the Propeller Insight Survey. 1,200 single American adults were surveyed, aged 18 to 42. 42% of these respondents admitted that financial health is something they prioritize when seeking a potential partner. They took from another survey, buy now, pay later company Affirm. 51% of millennials see the ability to manage money as the most attractive trait a partner could have, while 49% value financial stability. There's more stats in here, but that's one story. And now another story that really is fascinating. I saw this here and I was like, wow, this is really crazy. LendingTree.com put out a report. More single young women are homeowners than single young men. Let me say that again. More single young women are homeowners than single young men. When women want to go ahead and be financially independent, they want everything. So they don't want to rent. They want home. They want their own place. They want to decorate. They want to be able to have their own feeling, their own space. That's their safety blanket. Okay, so their own home, as long as they have a home of their own and they could just like lock up. That's the security blanket. It's not a man being there to protect them. They feel like, well, they just have that. Oh, have a Ring camera outside, Simply Safe, whatever. That's all you need, right? Dr. Susan Madsen, director of the Utah Women and Leadership Project at Utah State University. That one trend shows women are sharing the expense with friends. That some women are just purchasing their homes with their friends because of the expensive housing. And that women want stability. They don't want to put money in the rentals. There's a statement we've said for years, Dr. Madsen says, quote, a man is not a financial plan. Women really thrive and want and yearn for more stability than a lot of men. And that women view homeownership is a long-term investment, and numbers can reflect the fact that there are more women than men. That's a fascinating point. A man is not a financial plan. Well, I agree with that, Dr. Madsen. I agree. But how many women asked to be in this position? How many women tried to get into relationships that did not work out and they just resorted to say, well, I'm going to do it on my own. Screw it. I'm just not even going to bother with any other partners in my life. No spouse, no relationship, no nothing. And so women can be single and lonely, living in a big house or an apartment, whatever, condo, townhouse, whatever, living on their own and just live alone. But we know that women, it's much tougher for them to live alone than men. You know, men, we can be alone. We can just live in our thoughts. We're much better at being single than women. Believe it or not. Of course, there are men that have been, and if you would have asked me like 30 years ago, would have been much tougher for a guy to stay single than it would be for a woman. But right now, yeah, not so much friendship or companionship. How about the women that, they get their own place and all their friends get married around them, or they all find relationships. And then that friendship that you have, I mean, if you do have friends that stay single, how happy are they? And then you have to go and rely on each other to go and be protective and feel secure and feel safe. Is that a good idea? I'm not sure what they're going to feel about that either. But I saw that story. More single women than men own homes in the U.S. And they talk about tips for home buyers. This is from GoBankingRates.com. Women own 2.7 more million homes than men in 2022. How about that? According to the National Association of Realtors, couples made up 73% of homeowners. That's gone down from 73% in 1981 to 60% in 2021. Single female home ownership has grown from 11 to 19% in those 40 years. Women's liberation has gone full circle. So in some of the things they talk about here, they say that shore up your finances, define your financial comfort zone, consider your physical comfort zone, shop smart for mortgages, future-proof your investment, and prepare for a rainy day. Now, that's one thing to be said if you have a very good income. And listen, there's quite a few women that can be homeowners and they are well off. They're well-to-do. They make more than enough to go ahead and live a very wonderful, comfortable lifestyle. And it can't be that hard for them to go and save money and invest and put aside. And so I look at this here and I feel so bad for the women out here that they have to go this route. And what I'm trying to understand is just like, what got us here? Remember, it's social media, it's online dating. These are the two consequences of trying to go it online and, the fear that men have been given to be able to go ahead and feel like they can go ahead and be comfortably open to talking to a woman or to someone else out there because, without any fear of being creeped out or being canceled or retribution or whatever. So there was a story I also saw about online dating. This was horrible. About the rise of percentage of sexual assault in online dating. What in the world is going on? I got to find that story because I saw that here and that bothered me. I was like, okay, online dating, we're starting to see an increase in that. I'm like, this is wild. From dating apps. Because we know we're seeing a lot of catfishing. We know that I talked about the story that where women were being catfished in the restaurants. We've heard that story. I'm sure you've already heard that story most recently. But there's a lot of things that have been going on with that. One story that's gone on now from around the world. Dating apps agreeing to a world-first code of conduct to reduce sexual violence. So there's an initiative in Albania, of all places. The Albanese government's National Roundtable on Online Dating Safety. There's a pivotal initiative that was receiving backing from major industry stakeholders, Match Group, which owns Hinge and Tinder, Bumble, Grindr, Spark Networks, RSVP, and the Parship Meet Group. Oh, this is in Australia. Okay. It was a comprehensive study from the Australian Institute of Criminology revealing a significant majority, 3 out of every 4 survey respondents had reported instances of sexual violence facilitated by dating apps over the past 5 years. That's shocking. The more reason to not be on the conventional dating apps at all. Because people are on there with ulterior motives. Like if you're not meeting in person, I mean, you still have the risk. Yes, absolutely. But if you're meeting somebody in public and you meet them, like if you're going online and you're spending some time to talk to somebody and getting to know them after a while, there's something wrong with that there. That this can go to this point. So in Australia, they have the point now where there will be systems deployed to identify potential instances of harm. Action will be taken against users violating safety policies. Clear and accessible complaint and reporting mechanisms will be displayed. Resources will be provided to Australian users in adopting safe dating practices. Transparency reports will be regularly published. Enhanced collaboration with Australian law enforcement. Prioritize proactive handling of complaints that pose imminent threats to complainants' safety. So this code is now being set for dating apps to adhere to these guidelines. And 3/4 of these apps that are operating in Australia have all opted to participate and comply with the provisions. So that's huge. This is in Australia, by the way. This is not in America. And some of these sites say they're doing things about this already on their own. Bumble has their own dedicated new AI-powered features to help weed out fake profiles before they're seen by users, and develop resources to educate the community on how to stay safe online. Well, okay, but you got to do something about it. But having this right here and expecting the dating apps to do something about this, no, you can't trust it. You just can't. Now, more into the dating apps out here. The modern tribes of competitive dating. This is from DazedDigital.com talking about this here. So in this story, they talk about that online dating has brought a new meaning to race against the clock. Its immediacy with its an era of streamlining and dating optimization. With data from leading players in the online dating market, they are exploring the competitive clans on the apps. So there's these different archetypes of online daters. And this is one of the things you got to keep in mind here, which these are all chronic. These are all toxic for the most part. So why even be a part of this in the first place? First of all, there's the time wasters. From 10-minute microdates to co-working coffees, these people are sprinting through the dating experience, screening dates scrupulously, sidelining spontaneity in favor of multitasking, like going out on dates during the workday, as 32% of Tinder users admit to doing, or meeting for dates as pre-drinks for friend events. Time wasting is the ultimate sin. The preppers. These are taking screening dates to the next level by doing it before actually meeting them. So you have preps starting at demanding voice notes, going as far as sending out job-like applications. You just only have a deal-breaker ick list, one strike, and you're gone. So one of the profiles they talk about in the story, she sends out a don't waste my time application to carefully curate matches with 10 questions, ranging from are you capable of communicating honestly and openly to a sliding scale for dick size. And she specified things like the candidate must be non-discriminatory and those who drive and or have their own places preferred. Yeah. Then next are the part-timers compartmentalizers. So according to Tinder, 77% of users reply to messages within 30 minutes, 40% within 5 minutes, and a third reply immediately. Hinge data also supports this, 44% higher chance of receiving responses when messages are answered within 24 hours. Now, we know there are other apps out there. We talked about the app called Thursday where you can only match and chat once a week. And they tried to prove if it was possible for a successful part-timer for that to go and work for them. I remember talking about that. It was about a year ago, I think it was. Then you have the money savers, where they talk about that there are certain savvy daters that rather dictate weeks on like real simple, like coffee or drinks or whatever, and not anything really big on dinners, like a diner date. Go to Denny's, go to Applebee's, go to Chili's, whatever. Something easy. Or there's daytime dates, like going out for lunch or breakfast without drinking, the daylight savings trend, or using oddly timed happy hours to get more bang, not literally for your buck. So yeah, go out 5 o'clock for happy hour, grab a drink, grab an appetizer. There you go. So there's one person they talked to that he saved a lot using discounted cinema tickets, movie tickets. He says that I'm sure it was a turnoff for some, but his girlfriend for 2 years took it in her stride and even extended the miserly approach into the relationship. And they've gone out on Groupon mystery holiday packages. And, they went out to go out on vacation on this kind of thing. So the frugal types. Then there's the money makers. People literally profiting off dates, the cohort willing to win a tangible prize at all costs. So you have the sugar daddy sites, and then there's stealing from your date. They talk about, there's a story from the Tabby Swiper, a New Yorker stealing his date's Margiela boots the morning after and was hunted down the internet. And then a New York-based journalist, she accepted $1,000 to go out on a dinner with a guy from Twitter. She says here, quote, I vetted him a bit and figured if he's the type of guy to offer up this much cash to eat steak with me, he's got to be interesting enough for a potential story. So it's a journalist that wanted to get a story from a guy she met to go out for dinner, and it was a guy that talked to her on Twitter. So the guy's an idiot. And the guy, even though he might be anonymously positioned in the story, got used. Catfishing, basically. Dating for content. Yeah, we got a lot of that going on. Where, I mean, how many times have we seen now, sometimes where a guy and gal will go out and they're having a bad date and they pull out their phone to record something for content. Those are the worst. And I've seen that way too many times. And some of them are obviously positioned there, staged. But even just the thought of that is pretty bad. It's just not good. So young woman on TikTok finding cachet and turning dating mishaps into viral videos. Some creators leveraging it into sizable followings and sponsorships. Yeah, it's not good. But some women are willing to go and do that. Some guys are willing to do that. That's just wrong. Sober-ish dates are another trend of the modern tribes of competitive dating. So, peak performers. The daters being serious business. So, according to a 2023 survey by Flirtini, 50% of women, 26% of men never drink alcohol on the first date. Hinge is at 75% as global singles say drinks are no longer preferred to first date activity. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that now, that alcohol is just not the common thing anymore. Nobody's going to bars or clubs to go get drunk. No, that's gone out there. It's more kava bars. It's more, let's get an edible, let's get a White Claw. Let's get, twisted tea. Let's go get, that's the kind of stuff they're looking right now. It's changed much. A lot. Then there are the AI inauthentics. So, in order to artificially enhance a flying start, some people are using apps like Your Move AI, Dating AI, and Riz to generate profiles, prompts, and replies by scanning uploaded dating profiles and messages. And 1 in 4 Americans actually currently do it, according to a study from McAfee, the security company. So, a Miami-based profiler says he's been using Riz for 6 months. He believes it's no worse than getting help from mates in the group chat. I can't lean on them to help me workshop a witty response all the time, so Riz has replaced that for me. This is an accountant, by the way, 35-year-old accountant from Miami named Artem. He says he always edits the app's suggestions, but it helps him to be more creative with those clever one-liners. Then you have the gamers. They are well-known, those coming out on top, fully addicted to the swipe and ego boost each buzz of a match brings. They've long lost their way from a quest for love instead of turning to the process of turning to a sport into itself. These are the players. In the 90s, we would call this the players. So one guy they talked to says, quote, when I first moved into the city, I remember thinking I just needed to chat as many girls as possible. I was across 3 different apps trying to get with anyone to come on a date. He's on Hinge now, and he and his roommate labor over prompts and photos on an almost daily basis because there's really a formula. So they show off matching someone hot, and they say, look who we got. This person I profile with beats your profile, the person you're trying to talk to, and all these things. These are obviously the tribes out there. So, yes, you want to justify a reason why women are willing to go and be single, take the singles tax, and stay solo? Well, the dating apps are saying that. And the sexual assault stuff, yeah, justified reasons. But that's still no excuse for the fact that women have to go and feel like they can't be with anyone. Because how many of them are struggling to make it on their own? Because we know that, years ago, it wasn't that way. And then how many women know someone that's married and they don't have that kind of issue? And remember, how many do they know that might know from high school or from college or just from whatever, from work, and they know each other after a while? And then you realize, okay, they might have found somebody and they're the same age as you, and they have kids, they have a family, they have love. Like, the most important thing I want to take out of this is that, sure, I'm not disputing the fact that women can't do this. And I'm not disputing the fact that women can go ahead and be single, and they can be successful and live their own life and be single and, have whatever they want. They want the career and they want the lifestyle and they want to live as they want without anyone in their lives necessarily. They can do that. I'm not saying there's no such thing as not doing that, but I'm just trying to come back with a point and saying, you know what? What happened when love became such a non-commodity? Like, why isn't that, for some people, money wasn't more important than love. To me, I still think that way. So I'm saying to myself, why does this happen now? Like, I don't like this idea of seeing where, we're at the point where love doesn't matter anymore. That's the part I have the biggest problem with. The dating apps have ruined love. The issues that have caused a rift between men and women being able to go ahead and connect with each other or talk to each other. The dating game not being allowed anymore. All of that. It's ruined love. So that's the biggest thing I really hate about this. And this is what this program is all about. I want more people to be in love. I used to take that for granted a lot. I used to think about the fact of how many women were out there. I wish they were with me. And I was resentful of people that were in love when I wasn't. And it took me a long time to learn that lesson. It didn't matter. But now I appreciate those that are in love. They don't have to go through this route of having to go and find other ways to make ends meet and say, well, I'm going to do it on my own. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. And they just go along without it. It's simply, it's sad to see that. I don't want to see that, but it's no choice. What are we going to do about it? What can change? Well, maybe not give up on love. Maybe you feel like there's a chance that maybe something can happen. That maybe you don't have to go and live that kind of lifestyle, and maybe you can find love. And you don't have to be depraved and debaucherous. By the way, coming up, I have someone that's going to be debating me here on the program with an opposing view. Stay tuned for that.